This is Laura DeFranco, holistic physical therapist and owner of Brave Healer Productions. I'm excited to bring you my new holistic healing series where you're going to learn from the experts what it means to live fiercely alive, mind, body, and soul. I invite you now to take a breath, relax, and feel the vibe of the words my guest has to share with you today. Hey everybody, welcome to the Brave Healing Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet about this healing journey that could change everything? Does that question turn you guys on as much as it turns me on? So, today I am bringing you a few of those somethings. And the women joining me today aren't just authors, they're expert healing arts practitioners, and they want to help you understand what's possible in terms of your health, your well-being, and your life. So welcome to the show, Brenda Cross, Lulu Chavina, and Anne-Marie Harnett. And if I butchered any of your last names, I'm going to make you correct me in a minute. Hey ladies, how's it going?
Great. Hi.
Oh, great.
Hey, Laura.
I'm so happy to have you guys here. So for the viewers, the very first book in our series, The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, and this is the book that is, the new book is volume 3. It's going to be out in October, and all of these amazing author experts have written a chapter and are teaching a tool in this brand new book. And in the very first book of this series, I was born back at the very beginning of COVID, and I literally just woke up one morning and decided that I needed to ask a group of my healer friends if they wanted to help me teach the world how to heal at home. And no small task there, but I took it on, and all of these amazing people said yes. And here now, just 5 months later, I'm so proud to announce that we're on our 3rd volume that will be launching soon. And over the course of the next few weeks, I'm going to introduce you to these brilliant, wise, heart-centered badasses who said yes to this project. Thank you 3 for being those badasses. Brenda Cross is the Chief Transformation Officer for LifeSpring Labs. Her programs and coaching help you navigate the tricky terrain in relationships. You'll be equipped to clear conflict, restore communication, and reconnect. When she's not traveling, Brenda and her partner Ed split their time between Northern California and New York City. I also have with me here Lulu Chavina, is an award-winning author of the stunning art and poetic prose book called Soul Blessings. I have a copy of that beautiful book. It is so gorgeous. And Moments of Transformation card deck. She's an art of feminine presence teacher, quantum healing practitioner, soulful living coach, artist, and a mother. And she is passionate about shifting the societal narrative about women and age. Also with me today is Anne-Marie Harnett. Harnett or Harnett? You got to tell me, you guys. Okay, thank you. I do this every interview too because I need to practice beforehand, but I didn't. She is a massage therapist, energy worker, and bodywork instructor. Anne-Marie has helped clients to find the root cause of their issues for over 23 years. Using sound, crystals, intuition, and guidance, Anne-Marie will assist you in becoming who you were meant to be. And y'all know I'm going to hook you up, link you up in these show notes down below. So after the show, you can go explore, take it the next step, see what these author, expert, healer, amazing people have to offer. So Lulu, I'm going to start with you. Can you talk about your chapter? You've got chapter 18 in The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing. It's the volume 3 book. And dude, you are teaching us how to create a personal chakra card deck. Like, who does this? I mean, seriously, after I read your chapter, I thought, holy smokes. So first of all, I just wanted to go and get all of my art supplies that you told us to get. But tell us why this tool?
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Of course, you heard in the notes that I've created my own deck of cards, and that was quite a journey. You know, I've been using card decks for about 30 years, and especially in women's circles that I work with, I hear a lot that everyone would love to create this art, this sort of art, beautiful art, great messages and words, etc. And I started by doing a couple of birth decks for myself when I was pregnant with my daughters. So I saw the power of just having your own intuitive messages is something that no one else can, you know, you can use someone else's card, but sometimes if you just tap into your own intuitive messages, they have the most potency. So that's why I chose this as the tool, so that people can have their own divine messages for their own empowerment, and also something that they have as a tool that could be the reminder that they know, actually, I did feel that in my body, because our body's our vehicle. I did feel that in my body, and how can I use that today when I'm feeling, you know, flat or, you know, a little discouraged or whatever I'm feeling. So that's why I chose the healing deck.
So you created this beautiful book also called Soul Blessings. Can you talk for a minute about the inspiration behind that book? It's so gorgeous.
Yeah, this is the front cover behind me. You know, I do believe that we all have such a connection with people and places, and often, you know, the perfect messenger shows up for us. And I happened to see this piece of artwork and I felt connected to it, but didn't think much of it. And then randomly, my husband, who doesn't normally do things like that, he purchased the artwork two years after I'd been looking at it at a restaurant. And the artist delivered it to my house, and we just had a natural recognition of each other. And I said, I'd been writing, you know, I write prose, I write poetry. This is my idea. I want beautiful artwork. And she's like, you want my artwork? So that's how that was birthed. And it was just a marriage of, you know, two people that had beautiful things to offer the world. They came together and created the book. And since then, you know, winning an award for it, it's, you know, it's, I feel it came through me. It's not solely me. Yeah.
Well, that whole piece about coming through you is something that in the beginning of my journey, I was watching other people and listening to them say that. And I was so envious of something I thought I didn't have, the ability to have anything move through me, like just be connected like that. I always thought in the beginning that it was some gift that only certain people got. And also on a beautiful journey that had me meeting certain people who were able to teach me that no, everybody can connect to that place inside them and have whatever it is move through. In my case, it's always the words, it's definitely the poetry, and all kinds of words. And so I think that when I think about your tool that you're teaching in the chapter and having people connect like that through art, but also a way to connect to their intuition that is not maybe your average way. It's just a little bit different, and it's going to help open a door for people. You know, all of the chapters that you all wrote are essentially different ways for people to practice awareness and a connection, in all of the different ways we described connection. But I just wanted to say thank you to you, Lulu, for offering it in a way that some people are really going to resonate with. It'll just be different. I have one question for you though. What would you say to the person who's like, oh, I'm not an artist? And it's that same thing that I went through, like, I don't know about that. Like only certain special people get that, you know? So what do you tell people who say that to you?
So I'd like to kind of reframe the word, not artist, creative.
Yeah.
Every single human being is creative. You know, some people are creative in their garden. Some people are creative cooking a meal. So, you know, whatever that internal dialogue is about I'm not that. This is in this chapter, I tell you to give it a job. We're going to give it a job, and we're going to just focus on this embodiment of creativity that comes through you. It is just your life force. And it's not to compare with anyone else, because that's often how we judge things. We compare, that with that. And, I don't think that's a helpful way to do things. And, our healing process is unique to ourselves. So everyone's card deck definitely will look different. No one needs to even see your card deck, and it will have something divinely that is potent for you and be your jewel in your life that you could use. So that's what I want for everyone. Yes, they are creative.
Yes, thank you for that. Anne-Marie, I'm going to move to you and have you talk a little bit about your chapter, which is chapter 11. And you talk a little bit about clearing dysfunctional family patterns. Tell us more about this tool that you're teaching.
Thanks, Laura. So yeah, I think it was definitely a huge piece of my own personal healing journey, was learning that I had feelings and thoughts in my body that were not mine. And that was a huge breakthrough moment for me, to realize that some of the burdens I've been carrying were actually not mine, so I couldn't process them myself. And there was nothing, really the only thing to do with them was to release them. And it just had me feel so much lighter and freer, and also not take things so personally that I had thought were really personal, because they were in my body. So I had assumed that if it was in my body, it must be mine. And so that was just such this aha awakening moment to learn that that's not true. We can have, physical feelings, emotional feelings, thoughts, attitudes, beliefs that are actually not ours, that have been passed down.
This is a game changer for people.
Yeah.
A total game changer. Because I don't know about you gals, or when you learned the amazing magical things that you know now, but I didn't learn any of the amazing magical things as a kid or even a young woman. It was well into my adult years where I started to run in circles with people who could have these conversations. So for somebody who's listening to you right now, Anne-Marie, and thinking, what do you mean feeling something that's not mine? Can you go there just for another minute?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, all of us are empaths to some degree, meaning we feel what's around us. We walk into a room and we can tell that somebody just had an argument, or we can just, sense that something's off with the other people that are in the space, right? You can be at a concert and feel the joy and be uplifted, or, so there's all sorts of ways that we're reacting to the people around us. And there's ways that we can accidentally take some of that into our body that doesn't serve us, that actually creates blocks and burdens and heaviness. And particularly now, right, with COVID and everything that's going on, I'm feeling much more than I have any time in my life, in feeling stress, right? I just had sadness move through me the other day, and I just was just sat with my hand on my heart and just let it move through me, because I was pretty sure it wasn't mine. So the question that I asked myself is this mine? Mm. And I find our bodies are incredibly intelligent, and they will tell us, there's just this inner knowing that will come up that just says no or yes. And most feelings that we have, there's a percentage that's not ours.
That's, I don't know if anyone has said it in the way about a percentage. So some might be yours and some might not be yours.
Right.
And so I would suppose that getting stuck in analyzing that piece is probably not the point, right? Trying to figure out, but so what do you do with it once you are understanding that probably some of it at least isn't yours?
I actually think it can be really important, Laura, to figure out what percentage, because to be honest, when I've checked in, I've found no more than 20% is ever mine.
Oh, wow.
Which actually really blew my mind.
Uh-huh.
And that's obviously a potentially a much bigger conversation.
Yes, and a whole other podcast, right? I know. We'll do that all day today.
So this is a tricky conversation because a lot of it has to do with trusting ourselves and trusting our own intuition, right? I'm talking some simple concepts that are actually pretty advanced, right? Like, how do I know this is mine? How do I know how much is mine? And then how do I get rid of it?
Yes.
Right? Like big conversations, but basically you just get rid of it. I often talk about using the elements. So physically imagine gathering it in your hands. Like I created a video for the resource link to show people like, hey, this is what it looks like. Just imagine pulling it out of your body, gathering it up, and physically just toss it, remove it, give it to your angels and guides if you believe in them, or into the ocean, into a fire. There's something in just creating that ritual of, this is not mine, I release it.
So you're just making me think to say thank you to all of you for saying yes to the challenge of actually trying to teach a tool in writing in a book. Y'all are master teachers and you work with your clients and you can do that all day long, but to then put something in words in a book where the reader is getting that practical experience in these complex topics like you're talking about, that's not easy. And you all are amazing in your ability, and even just for taking on the challenge if you hadn't done it before. So thank you for that. It's incredible to read the tools that you're sharing. And just quickly, you mentioned the resource link. So for anybody who's watching, one of the things that we set up for the book project is a little bonus for you, which is a private Facebook group right now, where if you own the book, you can come on into the group and our authors will be doing some free trainings. You can come in and ask questions about these amazing chapters that you read. And I think it's so important to continue the journey, right? Because you all could have picked, oh my goodness, who knows, 30 different kind of tools to teach, but I asked you to pick one and you did. So for the reader to come into the group and be able to ask you more questions and kind of rub elbows with you, it's like, where else do we get that kind of connection? I think it's time for this, because these topics can be complicated and because many of us didn't learn this as kids, and we need that help, we need that connection. So again, thank you. Brenda, talk to me a little bit about your chapter. This is chapter 21, and you're going to help us. I love these words, resentment proof our relationships. Tell me more.
Yes. So I believe relationships are an incredible place for us to do healing beyond what we can do on our own. They're a sacred space. They're a secret container. And yet, like you were saying, that we don't learn these skills in school. We don't learn how to be aware of our own emotions. We don't learn how to communicate very effectively with people. And I know for me, I went through most of my young life kind of twisting myself into a pretzel and looking at, how do I figure out who this person is that's in front of me that I want to have a relationship with desperately in some cases, and what do they need from me? And so I worked from the outside in, and I would attempt to become what they needed. And I attempt to meet their needs. And nowhere in there was there an inclusion of my needs. And that's the beginning of resentment. And over months, over years, that just becomes this molten lava that's just ready to explode. And some of us have been in circumstances where it's exploded spectacularly. Oftentimes it's a surprise because we don't have a mechanism for how to clear it, how to connect, and work through it. And so one of the tools is this process that I created with my partner, and we start with clearing, and it's a daily process that it's like, what's come up in the day that somehow just rubbed us the wrong way, or was even just the slightest little twinge. It could be anything. It could be something as simple as I say in the chapter. It could be something as simple as the toilet paper is supposed to go over, not under. And yet that's something that's like, okay, kind of went against the grain for me, is taking the time for two people to set that time together that we're going to use to go through this process and use this tool and to clear whatever is there, so that we're constantly, we're making sure that nothing builds up over time. But if there's anything that's gone in the past, that we're able to also start to clear that, so that we're running so much lighter. We have much more real and authentic communication. And then from there, we're able to really dig into some of these other tools. But the clearing piece, I think, is one that we don't have a standard mechanism for in our relationships. And I had a girlfriend just a couple of months ago that had that rug pulled out from under her. And her husband announced he was leaving, and that was just it. And it was a massive surprise. And it was because of all of this built up things that had gone unsaid. And I just see it so much. I see it way too many often. And I've been there myself, of all of a sudden, here's this big announcement of these things that have been building up, and I didn't even know. And we don't know. So how can we start to be aware for ourselves? And then how do we start to communicate that with each other?
Yeah, I really appreciated the way all of you actually are sharing your authentic story, but just talking about you, Brenda, how you talked about you first of all, but then you're talking us through this tool. I also loved the way that you're saying already now is just the daily process of it. That lighter feeling that you were talking about a minute ago. Yes, like I so resonate with a tool that gives you that on a daily basis, so you don't ever have to feel so weighed down by something. I don't know if this is going to be a hard question for you or not, but if you're in a place with somebody and there is one of those past things, like let's just say you haven't been so good about this process you're talking about, and you have a few things that are kind of hanging out, and maybe one in particular is the person who is holding that as the resentment, and we'll see if I already can answer the question in my own head, fully responsible for the letting go of it? Or does there have to be something between the two people that happens? Yeah, you get what I'm asking.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I think it's both. I do think that we take responsibility first, and we have that awareness and clarity around what is our perception of the experience, because there's the event and then there's our experience of it and our feelings of it. That's the piece that we can be responsible for. And we can bring it as much as we can neutrally to the other person. So, I talk about the difference between I and you, and it's like, you did this and this, and it's supposed to like, no, I'm feeling upset and I'm feeling ignored here, whatever the case may be. And that allows the other person to receive it. But I do think that there's an alchemy in it being heard and you being seen in that authentic expression, and the person being able to receive it. And it's just emptying it out and be able to receive it, and not defend, not judge. It's very much that sacred space of being able to allow their experience. So it's both.
I think you give people such a huge gift when you can help them be better communicators in this way, and so many different kinds of ways that we can do that, but this in particular, because again, you're not taught these things, so much as a young person. In fact, most of the time, many of us had really crappy role models of it. So we're working off of something, that foundation. So we have to find these resources later and do the best that we can with them. So I'm going to stick with you for a minute to ask this next question that I'll ask all of you. But in this grand scheme of healing and this journey that we're all trying to help people with, why does a holistic approach make a difference?
Yeah, such a great question. And we are holistic beings. Like, we bring the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, we bring all of that. Ideally, it's all there, whether we're choosing to bring it or not. but it's all there. So the more that we can work with kind of the full palette of colors, right, the richer the experience. And I think the deeper and the more profound then the healing can be. And in the relationship piece with what I'm doing, then I think the deeper and more profound our connection, the deeper the intimacy is because we're not just, you know, a talking head. I'm not just talking about something analytically. I'm having a full embodied experience. I'm having the emotional experience, all bringing all of that. So it allows for us to be fully received and experience fully, and for our partner to experience us fully, which is so rich. And I think also is on the more rare side, right? Is that we might just bring one aspect of ourselves. And so being able to bring the whole, all of us, just allows for a much richer experience and a deeper healing and deeper connection.
Yes, yes, with an exclamation point to that. Yes. Lulu, how about you? If you're going to talk about why holistic, what would that mean to you in terms of what you're doing in the world?
I guess when I look at that word, I also want to put the W in front of it. So
Yes.
It has the whole, not the word whole as in, you know, small.
Yes.
I think we're a society that compartmentalizes so many things, and, you know, the human being is not that. It's not just one aspect. We're just a full, you know, we are full, and we've got many components. So when we bring in, you know, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, you know, the ancestral, you know, all of those parts, we have a better time to reach what Brenda said about that lightness. We all want to reach the lightness. No one wants to be dragging that baggage, you know, like, and letting it weigh them down. We want to feel light. We want to feel connected. So we can't just play in one sandbox, so to speak. We've got to play in all of them. And, you know, I think a lot of people realize the somatic part of healing. You know, it can't be up here in the head. You know, it's got to drop deep within the body so we actually can move it from that place. And I liked what Anne-Marie said before about, you know, the emotion, she had sadness move through her. You know, how many children have been told that the emotion can move, you know, like we think it lands, and then we actually label the person as, you know, angry or always depressed, or, you know, so the movement of things, which I think is very holistic. We have to allow things to move, and while we keep our awareness as they're moving.
Definitely. Well, you know, one of the themes that has run through it, of course, it runs through the chapters and it's run through the interviews as well, as just the body awareness and inviting people into their bodies as an anchor, as a place to start this holistic journey from. We have been taught to problem solve our way through things and think our way through things. So I love how each of you talk about that topic. And y'all know, like, if we had picked breath work as the one tool that 25 people would talk about, we would have 25 very unique stories and ways of talking about the tool. We would have 25 different kinds of tools. That's why it's so important to have all of your voices talking about, you know, maybe the one word like holistic. So thank you for doing that in these amazing ways. Anne-Marie, what do you think about holistic in terms of the difference that it makes as far as this approach?
Yeah, I love what everybody said so far. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Lulu. The way I think about holistic is that I think it's the only way to actually get to the root cause of whatever the issue is. And when I say holistic, I actually also include Western medicine, because sometimes that is a really important piece of the puzzle. And what I say to my clients is, let's not be dodo heads, right? Let's not miss something that really needs like actual Western medical attention.
Yeah.
But I think it still needs to be holistic, where even if somebody's doing Western medicine, whatever they're doing, they also are looking at what are the emotional, because they have to get underneath it. They may need a medication to keep them safe or get them through something. But then we want to start looking at the whole person and like, yeah, where did it come from? Is it a past life? Is it through the ancestral lineage? Is it an emotion that's stuck in the body? Is it trauma that's stuck in the nervous system? And it's hard. I think that's the other piece. Like, it's not easy to sit with some of this stuff, right? I mean, it's not, so I get why people kind of avoid some of this work, because it's not easy. But that's what, all of us are here for, because I think the key for me and what I see with my friends and clients is we need support, right? We need somebody else just to be with us. I had a spiritual teacher, and he said that we need another nervous system to just be there with us, to breathe with us, to help us. I think that's what Brenda's speaking to. There's pieces that we're not meant to do by ourselves. So whether it's an intimate relationship or a therapeutic relationship, we're meant to have somebody partner with us and help us through pieces of the journey. And so I think, to me, that's what holistic means. It means looking at all the different aspects, getting support, and, just not feeling alone through this.
So staying with you for a minute, Anne-Marie, when you work with your clients, I think one of the gifts, the big gifts that we give them are these self-healing tools. It's really one of the missions behind the books in general, is to empower the client in all of these different ways. So talk about one of the ways you connect your clients with that inner wisdom, that intuition, that inner guide.
I think that's definitely the key, Laura, right? Because I never want people to put me on a pedestal and have me tell them what to do. I think that's part of the paradigm that we're trying to shift and heal. That's why I love Lulu's, creating their own chakra deck. I mean, right? They're putting themselves right in their driver's seat.
Yes.
And, so I find just getting an energetic clearing is incredibly helpful, because that's what I was talking about in my chapter. Often people come to me wanting clarity about some life decision, or just who they're meant to be and what they're meant to do. And the main thing we need to just do is get other people's, excuse my language for a second, but other people's crap out of their body, because they can't even tell what, feelings are there. So how can they make a clear decision? So just getting the work is huge for people. Getting in touch with that intuition, they can start to feel and sense what's theirs, what's not theirs. So to just have them ask the question, is this mine? And then if this is not mine, like, I release you now, and releasing, but even just drinking water, right? Learning to listen to their body and take a walk when they need a walk, get up from the computer, stretch.
You're making me want to drink my water, Shona.
Yeah. But the clients that do stuff on their own, right? It's so they just take off in sessions. Like, they just go, right? Like, because they've taken responsibility for their self-care and their healing.
Yeah.
So we just have so much fun together, and they just blast off. And the clients that complain about the same thing for years I love them dearly, but they're generally, they want to come for an hour session and have me fix everything.
Right.
I wish I could, but it doesn't work that way.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, that was a great way to answer. I mean, so, as a physical therapist, and in the beginning of wanting to help people, I wanted to be able to fix people. I wanted to be that magical being, but, somewhere along the line, I realized that how I would really serve them would be to teach them some of the things that I knew about how you do all of those things for yourself, right? So if you can give that gift to somebody, that's a gift of a lifetime. So Brenda, talk to me about that, connecting people with that inner wisdom and empowering your clients. What does that bring up for you?
It's interesting. The image that comes when I was hearing you speak about it, and Anne-Marie, is giving the power back to them that they always had, but they just lost. And so it makes me think of Wizard of Oz and Dorothy, right? The witch gave her back what she always had. She just didn't know it. And so she had to go through this journey to reconnect. And I think that that's such a beautiful journey to take in relationship. And some of these tools that I use, you can use them if you're not in a relationship too. So if you're flying solo, there's things that you can certainly do within yourself, or you can do them with family. You can do them with business partners. So there's lots of different applications, and it comes back to that. And Anne-Marie, you said it as well, is the responsibility, and it's taking accountability. And what I've found over time, even in my own practice of these tools, which I still do, Ed and I do every day, we haven't missed a day since we started and created the whole program. But what we've seen in ourselves and we've seen with other clients is that you get more and more clear about what's yours and what isn't. And we're also to bring a certain amount of objectivity to intense emotions and intense experiences, and be able to own it much more easily. And it's like, oh, I'm really having this experience. And with the container that we've got and that a certain amount of accountability, we realize, oh, there isn't anything that I need to blow out of proportion. I don't need to dig in here. I don't need to go to war here. Like, it's just something that I can look at, kind of take it in. And there's a natural releasing process through an individual accountability as well as the joint accountability and connection.
Well, I'm telling you, if you're in a relationship with somebody who can take responsibility for what's theirs and isn't afraid to be in that kind of awareness every day inside of the dynamic of the relationship. I know I'm using the term game changer a lot today, but it just really is. It just changes everything. It makes the relationship feel magical sometimes, and then intimacy can brew from there so much more easily. Love this topic. This is a whole nother podcast for sure. We're going to have to get on and do it. Lulu, talk to me a little bit about this inner wisdom. And you have so many ways that you help your clients connect like that. What's this bringing up for you?
I guess two things came to mind. I didn't see Dorothy, but I saw the fairy godmother. I get that a lot of people want you to be the fairy godmother, and we want them to create their own wand.
Yes.
We want them to, that they're the healer, like they are the artist or the creator. We're just guiding them along the journey. So I also, part of what we've been talking about, I think it's really important to have community. A lot of us, the journey is a solo journey, but we need community to witness us. Most of our pain happened somehow through being witnessed. There was pain and that was witnessed somehow. So then the healing process, if we're witnessed in our, reclaiming journey, that is very empowering for everyone. So with a person, yes, I'd like them to be definitely the one that knows they are the healer, and you're just helping them, take the certain directions, and also that they have a community that can support them along the way, whether that be like for me with women's circles, they hear another woman speak about something that resonates with something about their process, and as she's unraveling, they get to have that journey as well. And also, with our holistic approach, we do need a wellness team. I heard this about 12 years ago that, you don't just have your doctor, your dentist, your massage therapist. They're a team. They're there to be a team for you. So if we look at our own healing as who is on my team, who do I want when I'm, in an emotional crisis, or if I'm in a, argument, or if my body's aching, like who is on my team? And for everyone to create their team and have them as their supporters, their cheerleaders and their guides. Yeah.
The topic of the witness came up in a couple of interviews, and I love that topic. I think it's so important. In the beginning of my writing journey, I realized that moving the words out loud onto the page was not only sort of this feng shui process of the, what was on the inside to the outside, but also there was a witness there all of a sudden. Of course, it was me, unless I let somebody else read the words, but just the truth moving out onto the paper somewhere else besides internally, right? There was this idea of you creating a witness like that with that narrative kind of therapy. And then you add the community to it, and it just amplifies times 100 in its power. And when people feel witnessed, it's a moment of healing right there. It could be small, medium, or really large. You know, it just depends on what it was for you. But I love that topic as well.
As practitioners, we are the witness. And then if we can have even more witnesses to hold that container for us, that actually, you know, we are perfect divine beings. You know, we're not crazy. We're not, you know, all those aspects that we kind of overlay over ourselves. So yeah,
Yes.
practitioners, you know, that's who we are, the witness to the client.
Yes, exactly. Definitely. Oh my goodness. So I'm making a list of all of the blogs I need to write and all of the extra podcast shows I need to do after this. It's so fabulous. So ladies, I have one last question for all of you, and it's a big and vague question on purpose. So just see what comes for you. So Lulu, I'm going to stay with you for this one. Talk to me about joy and healing.
Oh, isn't that a nice one? Actually, in my personal journey, a couple of years ago, I kept on asking myself this question: how much joy can I allow?
Oh, I love this question.
And I thought to myself, I had 3 children, and I was thinking, have I actually asked my children that, or had any adult ever asked me? Like, you can have the most amount of joy possible. So, you know, that's been my own pondering, you know, how much joy could I allow? And, you know, joy is not always this outward movement. It can be so deep and full. So we need to define what joy is for us first, how, you know, how joy shows up. And I think in the healing journey, you know, as we unravel, it is about dropping those layers. So, you know, there's joy in the release, joy in the movement forward. I'm not sure if I answered the exact question, but
it's beautiful.
You know, my business name is Live Life with Wonder. You know, wonder is something I look for. Like, children have this wake up in the morning, it's a new day. But as we age, we're like, you know, so if you're out and about, you know, look for, where is wonder? Where is delight? Where is, you know, inspiration? Just use that as a pondering for your life. I think it's, you know, a really good self-care tool.
Yes. Oh my goodness. What a great question. You started that with, how much can I allow? Great question. I'm going to add that to my writing prompt list too. Anne-Marie, tell us about joy and healing.
Well, a big piece of my growth has been learning to be playful. So when I first started being a massage instructor, I was in my late 20s, and I look younger than I am already. So like, I'm 47 right now. And so I felt this pressure to seem like I knew what I was doing. So I was like, I thought a good teacher was like rules and was like serious. So you can imagine how that went. Not very well. I mean, pieces of it did, but I didn't create the connections that I wanted to with my students. They felt like, you know, they had to get it right. And I thought they did too. So for me, a huge piece of my journey was learning that it was okay to be professional and playful. And so I look for that in my own body. And I look for that at the end of a session. You know, I'm looking the word, I loved a lot of Lulu's words. The word I've always used when I'm teaching my students is to look for the deliciousness, right? Like, when it feels delicious in your body, then like, you're right where you want to be, because we always want to end a session with, you know, everything balanced and whole and complete. But that, you know, somebody can be clear, but not vibrant, right? Mm-hmm. Not sparkling, not like delicious. So, and a way that I have access to that in my own body is through movement. So when I'm teaching, I make sure that I'm moving. Like, I let myself be silly, be playful. And then I know that it's going to translate the best. Like, it keeps the energy moving in the room and in my body. And like, for me, one of my happy places is Zumba, or I did ballroom dance for years. that really helped me to access that freedom and flow in my body. Because I think, especially I live in Northeast America, we can get like really, right, like kind of serious, and there's like, you know, you're not supposed to be in public and just be silly. Like that's
Right.
right. I would start skipping down the street and you get these strange looks, like Lulu was saying, like find things of wonder outside. Sometimes I just want to skip, and I wish I was a kid and could just not have weird looks and, you know, do a shoulder shimmy like in the grocery store. Sometimes it happens, and I just let it happen now because I feel like it's important.
I love that. We had a little moment on this topic in our last interview with a buddy about this, just adding humor. And, you know, life is short. We're all going to die. Like, let's just have a little bit more fun here, you know, and just choosing that. Yeah, I love that. I love the visual that you're giving me of embodying that in just normal everyday moments, especially when people don't expect. It makes me laugh thinking about it. I think we all need to do that a little bit more. Brenda, finish us off with joy and healing, maybe as it relates to two people and how you talk about it.
Well, I do feel this irresistible urge to do a shoulder shimmy.
Yes, I know. Me too. Let's all go for it there. We need some music though, I think. I don't know.
Well, and I really appreciate what Lulu offered in her question. Such a beautiful question is how much joy. And it's the power of the question and the power of our focus, because what we put our energy on expands. And so allowing for joy in the process, especially between two people, is that we're clearing, so we're lighter, we're not encumbered, we're not letting things coagulate. And we also are taking the time for where's the magic in the day? Which is, I use as another word for joy, but taking that moment and finding where is the magic in the day? What are those moments? And then what is the magic and the joy that I experience with the other person? What is something that I delight in from them today? From the very small to the grand. Grand gestures aren't required, but it's even more fun when you can go looking for those little kernels of something that just delights you and brings you joy in each other. And again, it's something that over time, the more you practice, I feel like it continues to just expand and grow and become effervescent, and the exchange becomes even more fun, and there's more humor, and it just keeps building over time. So that joy between it's kind of like a joy hot potato, like you just keep passing it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, but you know, it's like it's a warm, fabulous kind of experience.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Magnifies.
Thank you. Ladies, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world, for saying yes to the project, for being here today to share it with everybody. Thank you so much. You guys,
Thanks, Laura.
I want our viewers to I'll just remind you guys one more time that just kind of take a little scroll down into those show notes. I've got the ladies linked up with their websites, and you can take a peek. You can come into the group with us if you're a book owner. I'm going to have this interview linked up as well. Our new book, Volume 3 of The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, is launching October 1. It's coming. But please enjoy all of the different interviews. We have 25 amazing healer author experts in the group and in the book to help you. And lastly, today, I want you to remember that you were born, so you are worthy. Your message matters. What if the thing you're still a little bit afraid to share is exactly what someone needs to hear to change or even save their life? It's time to be brave. Until next time, everyone, see ya. Shimmy our way out of here.